The Black Pack, hosted by veteran political strategist Adrian Shropshire, every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. for a breakdown of the issues, rhetoric, polling, and more this election year. It's The Black Pack with Adrian Shropshire, Fridays from 4 to 6 p.m. exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavisSmileyShow.com. That's thetavisSmileyShow.com or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, two conversations. Up first, Kevin Sharp, former federal judge and attorney for longtime political prisoner Leonard Peltier, takes us inside his client's preparation for his first parole hearing in 15 years and the prospects for a compassionate release. On the B side of Hour 2, we continue our year-long series of conversations about climate justice and racial equity with the CEO of the Urban Kind Institute, Jamil Bey. In our third hour today, attorney and best-selling author Scott Turow on why his classic text, Presumed Innocent, now an Apple TV Plus limited series starring Jake Gyllenhaal, always seems to find a new audience. I ain't mad at Scott Turow. He is also a lifelong Democrat who authored a piece for the magazine Vanity Fair arguing that Joe Biden needs to hand over the keys now. That was the title of the article in Vanity Fair. Joe Biden needs to hand over the keys now. Here's the thing. Scott Turow wrote that piece before the debate last week. I wonder how Scott Turow feels now. We will talk Presumed Innocent, Democratic politics, and more when legendary novelist Scott Turow joins us today in Hour 3. We commence today's show in conversation with independent candidate for president, Dr. Cornell West. But before I get to Dr. West, I want to bring in our regular contributor, the towering public intellectual Connie Rice, to break down right quick in these 5 minutes I have the breaking news out of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court says that Donald Trump is partly shielded from prosecution. They have ruled now on this immunity case. The practical effect of the ruling raises the possibility, Connie, as I see it, of further delay against the former president on charges of plotting to subvert the 2020 election. How do you read, Connie Rice, this decision today?
Okay, Tavis, listen, I haven't read 191 pages, but here's my take so far.
All right.
Okay, maybe we can talk about it a little more after I've read the whole damn thing. But here, everything we feared and worse. Number one, as far as I can tell, this thing says the president has absolute immunity for all core presidential functions, appointing ambassadors, that kind of thing. But question whether he has absolute immunity from being criminally prosecuted after he leaves office. Can he sell an ambassadorship? Maybe he can under this standard. The second thing that it does is that the opinion says there has to be a presumption of correctness for all presidential actions. So you start with the dice loaded on the president's side. The second presumption is that you have to have a presumption. The president cannot be fearful during the presidency. So therefore, you need to presume that a president cannot be criminally prosecuted after he leaves office for anything he does in office, because you don't want a president to be dissuaded or deterred or intimidated in any way from taking bold and decisive action. Well, Tavis, half of what Trump is charged with, he can argue is in connection with overseeing, I don't think he can, but he's going to try to. These presumptions turn, no man is above the law, that's out. Mm-hmm. Those guidelines about no man is above the law, this Supreme Court has carved out a special immunity for a president of the United States to shield him from being prosecuted for crimes he commits during office, unless those crimes can be shown to be so extreme that there's no way they can be related to presidential action and function.
So what does it mean then they kicked it back down to the lower court?
Judge Chutkan is going to have to determine whether each action that Trump took and that he's been charged with in the case before her, this is the election interference, corruption of the transition of power case that's in D.C., and it's the insurrection. Did he foment insurrection in connection with a violent interruption of that transfer of power? And so she's going to have to go through every single action that Trump took and determine, is it entitled to the absolute immunity? Is it a core presidential function? Is it a tangential presidential function, somewhat related but not core? And if it is tangential, is it immune? Does it have a limited immunity? I know all the headlines say it's limited immunity, but I'm looking at the absolute immunity. And Tavis, bottom line, what this does is it upends the balance of power between the presidency and the other two branches. This is a wholesale allocation of power to the presidency, and the Chevron case, which I hope we'll talk about on Wednesday, is a wholesale shift of power to the judiciary to make findings of fact on critical areas. But this is not good news for democracy. It's not good news for the rule of law. It's not good news for the Trump prosecutions.
And finally here, Connie, let me ask you, and I intimated this earlier, it suggests to me, and let me remind people that there are a number of cases obviously involving Donald Trump. This is the one with the black judge. I've said many times, it fascinates me, the role that black folk are playing in all these major cases. Fonnie Willis in Atlanta, Judge Tanya Chutkan is a black woman. We know Alvin Bragg is black. Letitia James is black. It's fascinating. Benny Thompson was black, who chaired the January 6th committee. Black folk playing an outsized role historically in all these cases. Very quickly, in 60 seconds here, I assume I am right then in my assumption that it likely means that this case gets kicked further down the road, and at best, what we're going to have, not that it isn't enough, although Joe Biden didn't work it the way he should have the other night, you got 34 felony convictions, but you ain't going to get nothing else between now and November, correct?
Nothing's going to happen in this case. I can't see it, number one. Number two, it's worse than that. If Trump wins the election, this case goes away. He will face no liability for hurling a violent insurrection at the Capitol building to disrupt the transfer of power. He will face no consequences.
I'm going to give Connie 48 hours to read all 191 pages, and I expect to have her join me Wednesday at the top of the show to explain what is in these 191 pages. Others will be reading as fast as they can. I want to give her 48 hours to read it thoroughly, and I look forward to Connie Rice joining us again at the top of our Wednesday show to break this down for us in greater detail. For now, Connie, I thank you for that top line. Have a great rest of your day. I appreciate you as always.
Have a great show.
When we come forward, we will get the impressions of the independent candidate for president, Dr. Cornell West, about this breaking news, and moreover, what he saw in the debate last Thursday night. Does it aid and abet independent candidacies? For all y'all saying that independents pull votes away from Biden, maybe even pull votes away from Trump, who knows? It is inarguable to me that America is craving more choices. Every poll, every study, every survey makes it clear that they want more choices. So now how do you feel about independent candidates after watching the debate last Thursday? We'll unpack that with Cornell West when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley. Tavis Smiley. Ranked number 45 on the Heavy 100 list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America.
KBLA delegation, have you been chasing those 20 pounds for 20 years? Then it's time for D-Herb's Full Body Cleanse, a natural cleansing regimen that can help you lose 20 pounds in 20 days. The Full Body Cleanse will also boost your immune system and improve your digestion. Stop chasing that 20-pound weight loss and propel yourself into a healthier lifestyle. To reboot your system, lose weight, and experience healing, go to dherbs.com and order your Full Body Cleanse or call 866-434-3727. Mention KBLA 1580 and get 10% off your order.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580.
Follow the leader.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram at KBLA 1580.
Follow the leader.
Are you ready?
The station leading the way with exclusive interviews,
Follow the leader.
stimulating conversation, and intellectual discourse that empowers, enlightens, and informs.
Follow the leader.
Follow the leader at KBLA 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Keep following the leader.
Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader. Follow the leader.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminding you that we keep us safe. Pro Football Hall of Famer and urban peace pioneer Jim Brown believed in just that. So he founded the Amera I Can Foundation for Social Change in 1988, focusing on at-risk and high-risk youth in underserved schools and juvenile detention facilities, as well as adult incarceration and reentry initiatives. The core of the Amera I Can program is its 15-chapter life skills curriculum. Mastery of these skills allows individuals to meet their academic potential, conform their behavior to acceptable societal standards, and improve the quality of their lives by equipping them with what they need to confidently and successfully contribute to society. Today, the foundation is led by its president, Monique Brown, who has been actively involved in the organization for more than 25 years. The Amera I Can Foundation continues its work in memory of its founder, actor, philanthropist, and NFL legend Jim Brown. To get involved or make a donation, please visit AmeriICanCommunity.partners. That's AmeriICanCommunity.partners. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Our city's hottest weeks of summer are approaching. If you're 60 or older, you're at risk of heat stroke or worse. Extreme heat can kill. That's why KBLA Talk 1580 is part of our year-long climate justice campaign, has partnered with the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power and the LA City Department of Aging for LADWP's Powered by Equity event, Heat Relief for Seniors Resource Fair. Join fellow LA seniors who hope to beat the heat and stay safe on Monday, July 15th, 10 a.m. at the Watts Labor Community Action Center in South Los Angeles. Learn about LADWP's Easy Save and Level Pay programs to help lower your monthly electric bill. And there will be tips and resources to be ready and safe in the heat. LADWP customers 60 years or older will be eligible to receive a portable air conditioner while supplies last. Personal ID and your LADWP bill are required. Contact your LA Department of Aging Neighborhood Senior Center for Cool LA Heat Relief for Seniors participation details or visit www.ladwp.com/events. Sounds different, huh? This is Tavis Smiley.
This is Tavis Smiley in conversation with Dr. Cornell West, independent candidate for president. Doc, how are you today, sir?
My dear brother, you know I'm always blessed to be in conversation with you, and I congratulate you on your historic C-SPAN gathering last week. Oh, brother. My God, that was magnificent. You know, just back in stride, you back in the vanguard of talk radio in the country, brother.
You are too kind.
It's a beautiful, the brilliant Connie Rice still doing her thing. And, you know, I was blessed to have Sister Melina Abdullah from your station now running with me in her magnificent visionary leadership, so that It's just always a blessing to be in conversation, man, especially in such grim times, man.
Yeah.
We in deep trouble. We in deep trouble, man.
Grim is the word of the day, brother. That is the word of the day. Grim.
Oh, Lord.
And I thank you. I thank you for being a part of that C-SPAN conversation. The response to that has been overwhelming. C-SPAN was blown away. The audience response was beyond amazing. The first time the nation, the world, had ever seen a stage full of nothing but us, black folk, talking about climate. And after that 2.5-hour conversation, when you got to the mic and closed by linking climate, justice, and racial equity with Juneteenth, which was happening the very next day, you set that thing on fire. And it was an amazing, amazing moment to be on stage with you once again. So thank you for gracing us.
We just always trying to allow the Lord to use cracked vessels like us to be a force for good, to raise the bloodstained banner of truth and justice, man.
Well, we I think we were used at that section. So we thank God for Jesus for that day. Let me move forward into this day in conversation with you. Let me start with a broad question. I got a couple of clips I want to play here. James Clyburn was on MSNBC earlier today saying something that won't surprise you. I want to play that James Clyburn clip in just a second here. Before I do that, though, let me just give you the mic. For your assessment, take your time. Give me your assessment of what you, as an independent candidate, saw last Thursday night.
Well, the debate itself was another sign of the layers of lies and the levels of crimes and the rot at the center of the American political system. You can see, I mean, of course, Trump just lying, 30 times in such a short amount of time, and then Biden lying when he could get his language and sentences together. And you say to yourself, this is the best we can do. This is the sign of an empire that's in such deep spiritual decay and moral decadence and decline. You say to myself, my God, how sad on the one hand, but on the other hand, the fact that there's so many collaborators, so that people would say, I mean, like RFK Jr. says, well, Trump is the greatest debater in American history. Get off the crack pipe, Kennedy. What are you talking about? Trump is beneath mediocrity. And let's just be honest about this, brother. If both of those white brothers were black, if Biden was black, he would be a retired car salesman in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And if Trump was black, he would have been in prison a long time ago before he even ran for president. You see? So you got black male mediocrity just soaring, and the whole world can see these folk are empty. They're vacuous. There's nothing there. There's no there. And here some of us come along and try to tell the truth and talk about justice, because, I mean, both of them are criminals. I mean, Trump is the convicted criminal, and Biden's a war criminal. And you say, well, it was enabling genocide in Gaza, and you say, my God, this is the best America could do. But some of us are going to go down swinging. We're going to keep telling our truth. We're going to keep fighting for the people, no matter what. But we have to acknowledge just how these moments in which we're just overwhelmed by lies and crimes, though, man. I'm telling you. How have you read, I want to play this James Clyburn clip in just a second before I do that. How have you read the Democratic bedwetting, the Democratic implosion? I've said so many times, and you and I were talking the other day, and we didn't quite get to this, but it's been arresting to me to watch the speed with which Democrats started to abandon Joe Biden. When you read and listen to what Democrats are saying, when you read the New York Times op-ed, the editorial board rather, and they're calling for him to step aside. You read Thomas Friedman. You read, who else am I missing? Darn near all of them, not all of them, but so many of them. Maureen Dowd. You run the list, man, of all these major personalities. David Axelrod, Van Jones. Right. I mean, on CNN that night, right, I thought I was watching Fox News. I had to turn the channel and make sure that my TV, that my cable wasn't messed up. I thought I was watching Fox News. They turned on Joe Biden so quickly. I mean, I was thinking they turned on Joe Biden quicker than sooner than right now, and quicker than at once. Sooner than right now, and quicker than at once, they turned on Joe Biden. Now, there are some who are standing with him, including James Clyburn. We'll play that. My question right quick, though, is what do you make
of the way that Democrats abandoned him so quickly. Republicans, to your point about Donald Trump, they're holding their nose, many of them are, but these Trump sycophants, this MAGA crowd, you can't imagine, even with 34 felonies, them turning on Trump the way Democrats turned on Biden so quickly. How do you read that part?
Yeah, no, it's true. You're absolutely right about that. I mean, part of it is that they are exposed to be liars too, because they've both been lied to. People talking about Biden is so vital and vibrant behind closed doors, and they've been spreading that lie. And then the world sees that he's senile. The world sees he doesn't have both paddles in the water. And anybody can see that. No, don't believe your lying eyes. No, we saw what we saw. That's very clear. So they had been lied to. They had been rationalizing him. And lo and behold, they said, there's no way that he can even make it to the election, let alone win the thing. And so a number of them did turn. But now you're getting the backlash, as you know. You're getting a strong backlash. And people are coming back and saying, oh, no, it was just one bad night. One bad night does not make an election. It's true that he's very vital and vibrant in certain contexts. It's just when he's got 53 million people looking at him on television, he can't get out a sentence. And you say, oh, I see. But that's the level of corruption in the Democratic Party. Where are the truth tellers in the Democratic Party, even in relation to the condition of the president, let alone poverty, let alone Gaza, let alone Sudan, let alone Congo, let alone jobs with a living wage, let alone health care available to all, let alone quality education, all the crucial issues that we ought to be talking about that neither Trump nor Biden seriously engage.
I want to ask you when we come forward here, your views. I asked you earlier how you saw the debate. Broadly, you responded to that. But I want to ask you, as we move forward here, policy-wise, as an independent candidate, what did you see on the policy front? So we will talk about policy. That troubled you most coming out of Trump and Biden, policy-wise. We'll do that in a moment. Let me play now, to your point about the backlash, let me play now a quick clip, a short clip of James Clyburn, who's been a guest on this program many times, former majority leader, African-American, of course, out of South Carolina, saved the election for Joe Biden in South Carolina 4 years ago. This is James Clyburn earlier today.
So, Congressman Clyburn, you are definitely still with Joe Biden and plan to stay there?
Absolutely. You know, Joe Biden has a record that he can build upon. He had a bad night last Thursday night. These things happen. I saw it happen to Ronald Reagan. I saw it happen to Barack Obama. And both of them came back from those bad performances because they had the ability to connect to the American people. And Joe Biden has that ability as good, if not better, than anybody that I ever been around. And so, yes, I'm sticking with him, and I do believe that the American people, the vast majority of the American people, will stick with him as well.
Dr. West.
Yeah, Brother Clyburn. God bless him, though, man. I was just in his neighborhood just 2 weeks ago. You know, the party that he founded when he was fighting Jim Crow Democratic Party in the 60s, United Citizens Party of the Mellon brothers. They just endorsed me, so I'm going to be on the ballot in his state. And he, you know, he's made some great contributions as a young man. But it's clear that he's on the plantation of the Democratic Party, and he follows through on what the boss said. You remember when Biden said America is not a racist society? And then Kamala Harris said, that's true, right. It's not a racist society. I don't know what you learned at Howard University, because we know that Melina Abdullah come out of Howard, and she telling the truth. And then what did Clyburn say? Well, yeah, that's true. It's not really, we're no longer a racist society. We just have some racist patches. Well, you see, that's plantation mentality. He can't think for himself. He can't tell the truth. He's got to echo. He's got to echo what the boss is saying. Same is true with ceasefire. You can't say ceasefire until the boss says ceasefire in Gaza. Then all of a sudden, a number of them start saying it. So everybody knows that Clyburn's lying, man. He's lying. There's no comparison with Barack Obama. debating against Mitt Romney versus what we saw. Barack Obama wasn't suffering from dementia. Barack Obama wasn't dealing with the early stages of Alzheimer's, whatever it is. And we're praying for the brother because nobody wants to see an older brother, no matter what color they are, embarrassed like that, humiliated like that. So don't make any comparisons. Ronald Reagan, compared to what we saw last week, please. A bad night is qualitatively different than a chronic condition.
The other difference between Ronald Reagan and Barack Obama is that neither was behind in the polls. Ronald Reagan had a nice lead at that point, and Barack Obama had a nice lead at that point. So Joe Biden is trying to come from behind. And when you're already behind and you stumble that way, you ain't got no cushion. There's no cushion for you to lose a few points and still be out front. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's a powerful point. But in many ways, brother, this is the Wu-Tang Clan moment. It's cream, brother. It's cash rules everything around me. That part of the problem is that they got $236 million and $212 million in their respective campaigns. Yeah. And that $200 million cannot be transferred to anybody. So that the Democratic Party is financially locked into Biden because they'd have to start all over again. You see, if Gavin Newsom or Kamala Harris or whoever it is, Gretchen and the others, they'd have to start from scratch. So these donors, the big money givers, the benefactors, they're in so many ways, it's up to them. They're dictating what's really going on. Now, they say it's family with Jill and Hunter and so forth. And, thank God the family that you want to love the brother no matter what. Mm-hmm. But you hope that they're not the ultimate determinants. But in the end, it's going to be cash. It's the money.
Yeah. I can't imagine that you would hear any other presidential candidate quote Wu-Tang Clan, but only Dr. West can do that because he weaves. He can go from Toni Morrison to Wu-Tang Clan and make it all make sense. We will continue our dialogue with Dr. Cornell West about last Thursday and beyond. That's the real question, that Kingian question. Where do we go from here? We'll talk about that when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. This is the Tavis Smiley Show.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
We thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Now, here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Former President Donald Trump is celebrating the Supreme Court's decision on his presidential immunity claims. In a post on his Truth Social platform, he said, "Big win for our Constitution and democracy. Proud to be an American." Trump will still be sentenced in his New York criminal hush money case on July 11th that could result in prison time. There are federal moves in the works to encourage and improve racial diversity within drug clinical trials in the U.S. The FDA is now recommending steps to expand drug and medical device trials in efforts to prioritize characteristics of the patient population they aim to treat. Repeating our top story, the Supreme Court has granted former President Trump partial immunity. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Is this the This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
It's the summer shopping season, better known as NBA free agency. Paul George wanted a 4-year deal worth $221 million to stay with the Clippers. The Clippers said no, and George said goodbye. George's 5-year run with the Clippers is over. The 9-time All-Star was in Philadelphia Sunday night to meet with the Sixers. George is expected to sign with the Sixers in the next day or so. James Harden is going to stay with the Clippers. He agreed to a 2-year deal worth $70 million. LeBron James is a free agent after declining his $51.4 million option with the Lakers. No worries, LeBron is not leaving. His son is on the roster now. LeBron qualifies for a 3-year deal totaling $160 million. Look for that contract to be signed sometime soon. The Detroit Tigers snapped the Angels' 6-game winning streak Sunday. The Dodgers gave up 10 runs Sunday at San Francisco. They lost 2 out of 3 to the Giants. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Race, culture wars, political turf battles, criminal justice, and injustice. The courts. These are the conversations you won't hear elsewhere. My guests are leading journalists, celebrities, and sports figures, elected leaders, and influencers. They aren't afraid to get into it and say the quiet part out loud. With Ariva Martin in real time, your commute just became the most engaging part of your day. Tune in weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. or find us on YouTube. Ariva Martin in real time, when you want it straight, no chaser.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. Climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. By any other name, we demand environmental justice in 2024 and beyond. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
Celebrate July 4th with savings at Lowe's. Right now, make your garden pop for summer with savings on Miracle Grow 25-quart potting mix. Get 2 bags for just $16. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii while supplies last.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Tia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chuchas opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chuchas Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Ready to re-examine your assumptions and expand your inventory of ideas? More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
More of Tavis Smiley, Dr. Cornell West coming your way right about now. Dr. West has called this, I think aptly, a grim moment. This is a grim moment in our democracy. We will see in the coming days what the result is of the Biden family all meeting at Camp David over the weekend, unless there's some breaking news while I'm talking that I'm unaware of. We've got really no update on that, but we do know the entire family met at Camp David, the presidential retreat, over the weekend to talk about the days ahead. And again, we'll see what that yields. But while the Bidens are meeting at Camp David, Americans are yet talking about what happened last Thursday, trying to find their footing, their bearing with regard to what happens next. I don't have a crystal ball. What I do know is that it is impossible. And my brother is listening right now, and he's a big Joe Biden fan. We've had any number of conversations over the last few days. But I've said to him and many others that you cannot have seen this debate last Thursday and still hold true to any belief that America does not deserve more choices. You can be a Trump supporter, you can be a Biden supporter. That ain't my point. My point is that you could not have looked at that debate last Thursday night and not believe that this binary is not good enough. America deserves more choices. So the rub, Dr. West, as you know, has been that your candidacy in particular, on Bobby Kennedy, RFK Jr. I don't know where he's pulling from, because any given on any given day he's a Trump sycophant. You know, I can't quite figure that brother out. But the rub against your campaign has been, let's just get right to it, that Dr. West Tavis, your friend and brother, will pull votes away from Joe Biden. After that debate last Thursday night, that argument has a big hole in it. To me, it doesn't hold water. You can't, again, look at the choices you had last Thursday and not at least believe intellectually that America deserves greater choices. So, Dr. West, I yield to you. You know, again, the rub against you, and as an independent, that you would pull votes away from Joe Biden after this debate. Your thoughts?
Well, I tell you, my dear brothers, that the magnificent conversations that I'm able to have with you and my dear brother, our dear brother, Mark Riley Thomas, my dear brother, Clifton West, takes us right back to your powerful point of the great black gospel song. It's nobody's fault but mine. Biden's got to take responsibility. The Democratic Party has got to take responsibility. Right now, 40% of American citizens do not vote at all. After they see that kind of election, it's going to shoot up to 60. They just drop out. They stay home. They stay on the couch. They look at the system. They see legalized bribery, normalized corruption, and mediocrity hiding criminality. It's not as if they're not right. People know that they're telling the truth, but we still got to fight. So we don't want to keep it that way. So I'm not promoting staying away and staying at home and staying on the couch. But we have to muster the courage to tell the truth on every level, domestic policy, foreign policy. When I call for the abolition of poverty, the abolition of unhousedness or homelessness, when I call for dealing with the ecological crisis, dealing with the greed of the fossil fuel companies, when I call for supporting a living wage for people who are working, I mean, all the different policies that I've been pushing now for so long, I'm just trying to tell the truth and keep my soul and spirit intact so that I don't succumb to the grimness. Black people have been on intimate terms with grimness for 400 years in America. Much of American history has made being black a crime. We got to try to make it a virtue. That's Garvey. That's exactly right. How do we do it? You got to tell the truth. And so we go to Clyburn or some of our loved ones, you know, who we disagree with. We can still love them when we disagree in terms of where they come down. But you got to tell them, do you really think you're telling the truth? Or are you just accommodating yourself to the corruption and the lies and the crimes?
Yeah. The other issue here that people really don't want to talk about, again, just trying to put these issues out there in terms of truth-telling, is that if this is the best, and again, Joe Biden has never done nothing to harm me personally. I have known him. I've interviewed him. He's been in this studio that I sit in right now. But if that's the best that you're going to get from him at 81, let's just keep it real. What are you going to get at 82, 83, 84, 85? He won't leave office till he's 86. If this is what you're getting at 81, is this really the answer to the prayer? That's what I told my brother. Is that the answer to the prayer? So that even if you pull this thing off in November, this is only headed, and you know, Doc, you know this as well as I do. We all know this. I quote you now from one of your books. Every one of us at some point has to do what Dr. West calls that dance with mortality. Every one of us has to do that dance with mortality. I said, we ain't bashing Joe Biden. I'm going to get there, God willing, at some point myself. And so will you, whether you know it or not. And at 81, it only goes in one direction. 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86. Count for yourself. If what you saw last Thursday only goes in one direction, what do you think you're setting yourself up for, even if you can pull off November? Dr. West?
Well, that's a powerful, powerful point. But I want to say this, though, brother, in terms of keeping our spirit and souls intact, that all of us have a calling. And your calling is to be the high-quality journalist that you are, which means you've got to interview people across the board in all walks of life, all different contexts, all different voices. And in each interview, you make them accountable. Mm-hmm. That's what high-quality journalists do. We've seen a collapse of journalism in the country. I mean, when you turn on TV, all you see is propaganda for the most part. People just lying on one side, lying to defend Trump and with his lies, and then lying to defend Biden. Well, where's the truth? Where's integrity? So when you talk about all the different interviews you've had, including Biden, you are being true to your calling. And that's very important. All of us have our own callings. And I think when it comes to actually then trying to say, how do we go about trying to ensure that the choices that we make are grounded in some kind of vision and a hope as opposed to just power? I think what people are really upset with so much of the culture these days is just all about power tied to revenge, retribution, or lies and crimes. How do we talk about integrity, honesty, decency? That becomes a spiritual and a moral question.
Yeah.
And we have to have examples of that, or more and more people lose hope.
Yep. When we come forward, I want to talk about bearing witness. There is a distinct difference to me, although they can be synonymous. Winning is one thing, witnessing is another. They can, again, be synonymous, but there's winning and there's witnessing. I want to ask you point blank how you respond to people today, even after the debacle of last Thursday night, who say, but Dr. West, you really can't win. You can't win, so why are you still doing this? You got in, you made your statement, you raised some powerful issues. We all love you, we support you and respect you, but brother, you can't win. That's one of the other rubs. I want to hear your response to that when you come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up.
Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Tips to help improve your credit score in 2024. Establishing credit is an important key to achieving financial health, but building a credit history from scratch can feel challenging since you need credit to build credit. First, what does it mean to build credit? All consumers have a score between 300 and 850. You want your score to be as high as possible as lenders look at your credit score to make loan and credit decisions. A good credit score shows you have a track record of borrowing money responsibly. Remember, it's never too late to build or rebuild your credit. This segment is sponsored by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
KBLA Talk 1580 is now celebrating 3 years of amplifying our voice and uplifting our community. We deeply appreciate your support of this radio station and will always do our level best to earn your support. Here's to many more years of loving and serving our community. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
I know it's gonna happen without you.
Who do you trust to get at the truth? Tavis Smiley. That's who. The conversation continues right now.
Dr. West, as you well know, anyone who is running who is not a part of this, how might I put it, political and corporate duopoly gets asked the question repeatedly, why are you running if you can't win? They asked Shirley Chisholm that question. They asked Jesse Jackson that question. They asked Ralph Nader that question. They asked Bernie Sanders that question. And now they're asking you that question. How do you respond?
There's 3 conceptions of winning, brother. One is winning an election. At the moment, I'm a long shot. I said 9 months ago, Biden's dropping out. Trump could still be on his way to jail. I could very well be the last one standing, being constant and consistent. But there's a second conception of winning, which is trying to win the cause for black freedom, black dignity, human freedom, and human dignity. And the third one is a meaningful, loving life in space and time. And that third one, of course, is a spiritual one. And I'm a Christian, so I got to lose my life in order to gain a life by means of a grace so that I still have enough courage to bear witness and be a witness as I attempt to engage in both elections as well in causes. So I have 3 different levels of winning. If your only conception of winning is just calculation based on Machiavellian politics, then it looks like what I'm doing is crazy. But I don't look at the world through those lenses only. No, not at all. I look through a lens that is at the moment darkly, but it's got deep, deep light in that tunnel, and it has to do with the fusion of the political and the moral and the spiritual.
There's your answer. For y'all keep asking me that question, just know that I ask it, and there's his answer. And if you want to hear it again, check out the podcast. We post it. So stop asking me the answer to that question. There's your answer right there. When we come forward in our remaining moments with Dr. West, I want to give him the last 4 or 5 minutes, about 5 minutes left in this conversation, to just lay out his policy. Now that we have established pretty clearly, I think, that we need some other choices. We need some options. We need some alternatives if Thursday night represents the best of what we have. And again, I've been saying this for months now. Interestingly, all my Democratic friends now are saying that. They're worried. And why are they worried? Back to Doc's point about winning and his 3 different answers to what it means to win, 3 different frames he puts us in that we can consider and think about as we move through the rest of this day and the days to come. My Democratic friends are concerned because they don't believe that Joe Biden can win. And they all are afraid of the existential threat that Donald Trump represents to the future of this democracy, or as I call it, an experiment in democracy. We got a Madisonian framework for it, but we ain't perfected that yet. So I call it an experiment in democracy. That said, winning is part of the equation. I get that. But what do you stand for? What are your policy proposals? And there's been so much talk about the meltdown last Thursday that we have not really put a spotlight on the policy that did and did not get advanced last Thursday. So given that we need some other choices, and given that Cornell West is one of those choices, I want you to hear his policy proposals in the last 5 minutes when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
If you're an adult in need of an accredited high school diploma, the Los Angeles Public Library can help. You could earn one for free in as few as 5 months, online with 24/7 access. You also get a personal academic coach, plus special training focused on 9 in-demand industries, as well as a resume and cover letter to advance your career. Visit the website at lapl.org/diploma. That's lapl.org/diploma.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Febreze. As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust new Febreze car vent clips, now with 3 times greater scent control, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with new Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing, which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up Oscar!
Smart talk for curious people just like you. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Dr. West, I've got 5 minutes left in this conversation. I will yield it all to you, sir. I thought many times watching that debate last Thursday night how different this experience might be if Cornell West were on this stage. I thought that many, many times if these independents had gotten on the stage and Cornell West had had a podium and a microphone, how different this conversation might have been. Give us a sense, policy-wise, in these last 4.5 minutes, of what you might have shared with the nation last week. Were you on that debate stage?
Well, there's still a chance to get on that second debate stage.
Indeed.
And I tell you, when I get on that second debate stage, I'm not going by myself. I'm bringing with me Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman and Martin King and Fannie Lou Hamer, and all of them have specialized in breaking America's addiction to self-destruction. The Black Freedom Movement has been the leaven in the democratic loaf, and without black voices and without our great tradition, America would have gone fastest a long time ago, and it still could easily go fastest without that kind of truth-telling and justice-seeking. And how do you do that? Well, what does Frederick say? What does Harriet say? What does Martin say? What does Fannie Lou say? Put the least of these at the center of your vision. Put poor people, put working people. What does your mass incarceration system look like? Why is it so barbaric? How do you transform it? How do you make sure that people have a right to housing, a right to health care, a right to free education, a right to safe communities without police out of control? That's the legacy that and tradition that you and I come out of. And all we're trying to do is make it available so that America doesn't go off the cliff. And America's going off the cliff. Both of those candidates lead America towards self-destruction. And all we're trying to say is there is another way. there is different visions in which lies everyday people are at the core of the vision. And James Cleveland's ordinary people are at the core of the vision. And it starts on the chocolate side of town, and it spills over to reservations, to barrios, to poor working class whites, and of course the world, because we got to talk about, foreign policy, be it genocide in Gaza, be it genocide in Sudan, be it massive massacres in Congo, be it landless peasants in Brazil, be it Dalits in India. We can go right across the board. Be it young people in Iran getting crushed, be it Muslims in China. We have to have a moral consistency here, but it's a great tradition, and that's a tradition that's worth living and dying for, because that's the tradition of Irene, Clifton West, and Shiloh Baptist Church, where I come from.
And finally here, how is the campaign coming along? I'm asking specifically about you're getting on ballots in various states. You mentioned South Carolina. I know there are others. So for those who are interested in how your campaign is progressing in terms of you getting on ballot access, how's that progressing?
We just got on the ballot access in Vermont. The party that Bernie Sanders founded, the Green Mountain Party, just endorsed me. So we are accumulating endorsements to get on ballots. We're on about 9 states. We should be on 15 in just a matter of weeks, because some of them are just opening up. We are the only campaign that is expanding. I mean, the Green Party's had 17, and they're down with about 15 or 14 or so, and they got their own problems, their own challenges, given my own struggles with them. I won't go into that. Sooner or later, we'll get a chance for me to really tell the truth about Jill Stein and the Green Party, but I won't go into that right now. But we are on the ascent, and people are hungry and thirsty for truth, justice, and love, and that's very, very important. And there's some good folk in all of these different parties. There's good folk in the Green Party. There's decent folk in the Democratic Party, and there's some decent folk in the Republican Party. I think they're just wrong. That's all. Yeah. And just because somebody's wrong, you give people the right to be wrong and still love them, but you try to correct them.
It's a grim moment. We close where we began. Dr. West has given us the word for the day. It is a grim moment in this experiment in democracy, no question about that. And America does have choices. I get tired of folks saying it's a binary election. It is not a binary election. There are other choices. There are other voices, and my role here is to let you hear from those voices and trust you to make the right decision for you and your loved ones. That said, we thank independent candidate for President Dr. Cornell West, as always, for joining us. When we reach out to him, we want to get his thoughts on this moment in American history. Doc, we'll do it again, sir. All the best to you. Love you. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I love you, though, brother. And hail our dear brother Lawson. Let us never forget our dear brother James Morris Lawson Jr. Indeed.
Yeah, the funeral.
Love you, though, brother.
Love you, Doc.
Stay strong, though, man.
The funeral of James
right
Lawson is later this week in L.A., and that's why Doc references that this great hero of nonviolence and civil disobedience, the Reverend James M. Lawson Jr. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Tyreek Wynn. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. A man has pleaded guilty to the murder of rapper Lil Don William, who's black, in March. WDRB reports William, known as Young Block, was followed from Louisville and was shot in the parking lot of Caesars Southern Indiana Hotel. President Biden is defending his record of helping black Americans. The CNN debate moderators asked Biden about some glum statistics on progress with black Americans. Biden touted gains in lower health care costs for black Americans. Biden also pointed to $50 billion he designated for historically black colleges. Trump said black people are being hurt by most high inflation that he claims Biden ignited. New court documents reveal Michael Jackson, who's black, was more than $500 million in debt when he died. A petition filed in Los Angeles Superior Court by the executors of his estate showed the extent of the King of Pop's debt. The filing also said Jackson's estate was left financially liable for $40 million to tour promoter AEG. That's the latest. I'm Tyreek Wynn on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.